Sharita Williams left her home to go to the beauty salon and was then supposed to meet up with a friend. However, at some point, things took a turn for the worse, and no one heard from Sherita that day. What happened to her was truly horrific. In today's first case, we will discuss the tragic end of the young girl and the perpetrator who was caught years later. Additionally, we will witness the mysterious disappearance of an 8-month pregnant woman and the arrest that came years later. Brace yourselves. We're stepping into the crime scene now. Sharita Williams was born to Wilma and Harry Williams in Pennsauken, New Jersey. During her high school years, she aspired to become a social worker to help others. In her free time, she enjoyed self-care routines like manicures, hairstyling, and eyebrow grooming, which she found enjoyable. Sherita cherished spending time with friends and had plans for November 28, 2003. She scheduled a visit to a beauty salon around 5 p.m. for a manicure, followed by meeting her best friend. Before leaving home, she assured her family she would quickly return from the nearby salon, just a short 5-minute walk away. Unfortunately, she never made it back home. Initially, Wilma, her mother, thought Sherita might have stayed overnight at a friend's place, as had happened before. However, by the next morning, when Sherita had not returned, they reached out to her friend who confirmed Sherita hadn't shown up and was unreachable. Concerned, the family reported their 16-year-old daughter missing. Although the police were hesitant to file a missing person report and suggested waiting 48 hours, assuming Sherita may have run away, Wilma's instincts told her something was amiss. The couple searched tirelessly in Pennsauken and, with a helpful tip from one of Sherita's friends to look near the 36th Street Bridge, they discovered what appeared to be a person lying among the gravel and promptly alerted the authorities. When the police arrived, they found a young girl resembling Sherita's description. Tragically, it was confirmed to be Sherita, lying face down in the dirt, her shirt torn, pants unbuttoned, and hands bound behind her back. Although there were no apparent physical injuries, signs of a sexual assault were evident, such as torn underwear and red marks around her waist. A rope around her neck and 2 bags covering her mouth were traced back to a nearby sporting goods store, linking them to the day of her disappearance. Initially, suspicion fell on Sherita's parents, especially regarding why they were searching near the bridge. Wilma clarified that they acted on a tip from one of Sherita's friends who had previously mentioned Sherita's fear of crossing that bridge. Further investigation revealed Sherita's salon appointment on that day. The investigation then turned to Sherita's friend, who was acquainted with the bridge where Sherita was found. Harry, Sherita's father, hinted that the friend might be involved. During police questioning, the friend revealed having a premonition about Sherita's location, which prompted the police to inform Wilma. Additionally, the friend speculated that Sherita could have used that route to visit a boy she liked. This led the investigation to focus on Sherita's boyfriend, known for being flirtatious and having multiple girlfriends. When the police visited his home, his mother confirmed Sherita had stopped by around 6:30 p.m. on the night of her disappearance. The boyfriend, who was working the night shift, rested in his room, claiming he did not see Sherita that night as his mother answered the door. She admitted to speaking with Sherita, but did not allow her inside because she did not like her. After leaving, Sherita went to a nearby payphone, attempting to call home about 15 times. The police, suspecting the young man, requested he take a lie detector test, which he passed successfully, and no evidence was found to link him to any wrongdoing. The autopsy confirmed that Sherita had been sexually assaulted that night, as semen stains were found on one of her legs, with drowning determined as the precise cause of death. The police, having 2 main suspects, started to examine the evidence more closely by revisiting a receipt found inside a plastic bag. They went to the mall where the receipt was issued to check the security cameras, only to find that they were not operational at that time. During the investigation, the police received a tip about a person seen driving near the bridge on the night of the murder. According to the informant, this individual was the boyfriend of one of Sherita's friends, rumored to have been in love with her. The police contacted this suspect, asking him to come to the station for questioning. He appeared nervous, yet cooperative. Admitting his affection for Sherita, he denied seeing her on the night of her murder, clarifying that he was near the bridge on a completely different night. Without a solid alibi, the young man stated he had picked up his girlfriend from her job at the mall and then went home. With no evidence against him, the case went cold for about 3 months. Several months later, the police received a call from the crime lab announcing that a DNA sample had finally been developed from the semen on Sherita's trousers. DNA samples were collected from the 2 suspects, but no match was found. Uploading the DNA sample to CODIS also resulted in disappointment, with no match found, and the case went cold again. Sherita's father, Harry, kept in touch with the police weekly, inquiring about any progress to ensure the case was not forgotten. In March 2007, the police learned that a new individual had been added to CODIS, matching the semen sample from Sherita's pants. This individual was Warren Dixon, a name previously unheard in the investigation, described as an odd student from Sherita's school. Shortly after Sherita's murder, Warren had dropped out of school and moved to Pennsylvania. 2 years later, he was arrested on drug charges, and his DNA was added to CODIS. Serving his probation, Warren was required to attend weekly meetings, which the police also attended. During interrogation, Warren appeared calm but struggled to focus, showing poor social skills. He lived near the bridge with his father at the time of the murder, and had left his girlfriend's house that night when he encountered Sherita. He admitted to knowing Sherita, but claimed to have only heard about her murder in the news, denying any involvement. When confronted by the police with the presence of his DNA at the crime scene, he confessed to having sexual intercourse with Sherita that night. Under pressure, Warren eventually confessed to the murder, detailing the night he crossed paths with Sherita as she was walking home from the mall. They had a brief conversation, during which Warren made an advance towards her, but she declined, resulting in her murder. Warren Dixon was convicted of murdering Sharita Williams and sentenced to prison, with the possibility of parole after serving 20 years, making him eligible for parole in 2026. Before we dive into our next story, if you could take a moment to hit that like button, it would mean the world to us. A single click for you is a huge boost of encouragement for us. Akia Shanta Eggleston was born on September 6, 1994, in Baltimore, Maryland. Her father left when she was young, leaving her to be raised by her mother, Latina. Their solitude was short-lived as Latina later married Sean Wilkinson, an employee at the Department of Labor, making them a family of 3 once again. Akia got along well with her stepfather, who was considered a great friend by everyone who knew him, including Akia's friends. Akia enjoyed engaging in various activities like dancing and singing, always ready to entertain others. At the age of 17, tragedy struck when her mother succumbed to cancer. Being close to her mother, Akia felt increasingly isolated afterward, often clashing with her stepfather and eventually cutting off communication with him. Nevertheless, she learned to overcome these pains as life progressed. At 20, Akia gave birth to a beautiful baby girl and became a wonderful mother. Since the child was born out of wedlock, she took on the full responsibility of raising her daughter alone. 3 years later, she became pregnant again, this time with a son, but chose to keep the father's identity a secret from her family. The second pregnancy was complicated, as the baby was in a breech position, making it high risk. By 8 months, Akia could barely walk and was under the care of doctors at the local hospital. To celebrate the pregnancy before the difficult birth, she planned a baby shower for May 7th, eagerly anticipating the event, where she would get her hair done and buy dresses for herself and her daughter. However, when the day arrived and her friends and family began to gather, Akia was nowhere to be found. After 2 hours of waiting, her friends became worried about a possible medical emergency and went to her apartment, only to find no trace of her. This was particularly strange considering that she had made definite preparations for the baby shower, including a $900 deposit. Why would someone sabotage their own party? Her grandmother contacted the police to report her missing. When the Baltimore Police Department arrived to investigate, they found no signs of forced entry, although some items were missing. Friends informed the detectives that certain belongings, including clothes and a dresser, were missing, and other kitchen items were oddly placed in another room. The investigation proceeded meticulously as the police pursued every possible lead to uncover clues about her whereabouts. They discovered that shortly before disappearing, she had posted on Facebook about missing her mother. It was alleged that Akia had told a friend she planned to move to a new place with the father of her unborn child, whose identity she had kept hidden. On the day she went missing, she was seen withdrawing money from a bank in downtown Baltimore, dressed in a green t-shirt and black sweatpants. Akia withdrew $450, captured on camera in what would be the last confirmed sighting of her alive. Bank staff interviewed by the police mentioned that Akia appeared to be in good health and did not seem to be in any distress. Following up on leads, detectives didn't believe Akia was in immediate danger or that any harm had befallen her. While they did consider the possibility that she might have moved voluntarily, Akia's friends were certain she wouldn't have left her daughter in such a way, especially considering her challenging pregnancy. They stressed that, due to the difficulties of her pregnancy, it would have been impossible for her to move furniture on her own. Because of the high risks associated with her pregnancy, local hospitals were notified to be on alert in case Akia required medical assistance for delivering her son. The FBI also got involved, issuing alerts to hospitals nationwide and entering Akia's information into a database. It was anticipated that she would need medical attention soon, and authorities hoped to locate her through this route since a self-managed birth was highly unlikely. However, as her due date passed without any updates, the investigation hit a dead end. Over time, detectives began considering the possibility of foul play. Numerous individuals, including friends, were questioned, but no new leads emerged. 6 months after Akia's disappearance, her friends stumbled upon an intriguing clue. A bank card belonging to Akia was found near the entrance of her home. The card was in good condition and appeared to have been placed there after previous search efforts had failed to uncover it. Unfortunately, this discovery didn't lead to any breakthroughs and was kept as evidence. Despite the suspicious circumstances surrounding her disappearance grabbing public attention through the media, all efforts seemed fruitless until 5 years later. The Cold Case Review team in Baltimore revisited her disappearance and compiled a timeline of events. After reviewing all the evidence, they focused on a suspect, Michael Robertson, who turned out to be the undisclosed father of Akia's unborn child. Akia and Michael had known each other since childhood, but their romantic involvement began in 2016 at a mutual friend's birthday celebration. After Akia's pregnancy, Michael, who was 35 at the time, distanced himself and became involved with another woman. Prior to her disappearance, Akia had confided in 2 friends about her plans to move in with the mysterious father of her child. When the police questioned Michael Robertson about Akia's disappearance, his accounts were inconsistent, and he changed his story multiple times during interrogation. At that point, detectives lacked sufficient evidence to hold Michael accountable and initiated a comprehensive investigation. A review of Michael's internet search history before Akia's disappearance revealed a series of suspicious searches. He had searched for information on waste disposal and storage facilities in Baltimore a total of 18 times, showing a peculiar interest. Investigators theorized that Michael had killed Akia and disposed of her remains in a dumpster somewhere in Baltimore. Michael Robertson was subsequently arrested and charged with the murders of Akia and her unborn son, awaiting a final judgment. If convicted, he could face life imprisonment for both crimes. Nevertheless, Akia's body has yet to be located. Before we conclude this video, please be aware that the video on the left may be disturbing. It is recommended for adult viewing only. On the right, you'll find a playlist of videos that have been highly appreciated by our viewers.